The NLC had called on workers in Imo State to embark on a statewide strike on the 1st of November in protest against what it calls the persistent and violations of the rights and privileges of workers in Imo State by the state government. However, the situation turned haywire as the NLC president, Ajero, got beaten up and later hospitalized. While some reports alleged that the NLC president was beaten in the state by the police after his arrest, some others alleged that Mr. Ajero was attacked by NLC members who were opposed to the union's plan to carry out a lockdown of the airport and other places. This obviously propelled a call for an indefinite nationwide strike action by the joint neck body of the NLC and TUC, addressing a press conference at Labour House in Abuja on Monday. President of the TUC, Festus Osifo, said the strike was necessitated by lack of response by the federal government to the demands of organized labor to bring to justice all those involved in the molestation and brutalization of the NLC president and workers during the ill-fated protests in Imo State. In the meantime, a restraining order was issued last week by Justice Benedict Backwash Kanyip of the National Industrial Court not to embark on any strike action, and the presidency has termed the decision by the NLC and the TUC as an ego-tripping move and an attempt to blackmail the government. This is in addition to the fact that the police denied the allegations, saying they only took Mr. Ajero into protective custody to save him from a mob attack. Well, it will be recalled that the law recognizes two grounds for valid exercise of the right of strike and or lockdown, namely collective bargaining deadlock and or unfair labor practice. So, how much has this window been explored before the strike action? And what can be done to curtail molestation of citizens at GT Post? Nigeria Today will be examining these and more as we discuss NLC nationwide strike. I am your carrier, Clinton. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today. Now, joining us via Zoom is Honorable Aminu Suleiman Goro. Aminu Suleiman Goro is immediate past chairman, House Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund, third-term member of the House, 2011 to 2023, and former Labour leader, NLC NEC member from 2009 to 2010. It's good to have you on Nigeria Today.
It's my pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much.
Also joining us in the studio is the NUJ President, Chris Isubuzo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And here we also have a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst, Ahmed Abubakar Tanemo. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me. Always a delight being here. Now,
Chris, I'll start with you. Although we have given a little bit of background of this national strike that is ongoing, but as they say, we want to hear from the horse's mouth. Walk us through what exactly led us to this, brought us to this point, actually. So, what led to this strike action?
Okay, thank you very much. In your opening salvo, to a very large extent, you were able to capture the nitty-gritty, as the case may be, the real issues at play, but just a way of adding more, information, to where we are. On the 7th of November, there was a joint NEC meeting of the Nigeria Labour Congress and, of course, the Trade Union Congress over the anti-labor issues in Imo State, basically, because over time from the issues that were raised, the state government has not treated workers fairly. You know, array of issues, you know, the state's inability to keep to agreements, you know, discrepancies in the payment of workers' salaries. You know, there is a percentage payment of salaries, backlog of gratuities not paid over years, you know, and some of these things gave birth to other issues. You know, as we speak, the government is not recognizing the executive put in place by the NLC in the states. You know, they vandalized the state secretariat and all that, you know, put together. And the Labour and TUC in that meeting made it very clear that they were not going to continue to stand idly and watch things degenerate, because the essence of coming together and having a labor union is basically to protect the general well-being, you know, welfare of workers. And when this is not protected, you know, that means the whole essence of labor movement is defeated. And that's why the NLC and NUC decided that enough is actually enough, and that they were going to rise to the occasion. And they had actually ordered a strike action effective midnight that day in Imo State, you know, asking critical sectors of the state economy to shut down. And also said within that period, the 7th to 14th, which was more like 1 week, if nothing was done, they were going to cascade it to the national level, apparently to get the national appeal, so that something is done urgently, you know, to save the workers. You know, basically that is the main issue as far as this action is concerned. Since within the 7-day window, nothing really, you know, has happened. No negotiation is in place. Conversations are not going on. It appeared like the government was not listening. By the government, I mean actually Imo State government, not listening to the whole issues. And the whole thing appeared to have been consumed by the attack of the NLC president. And every conversation appears to be revolving around that. But it's far beyond it. There are other issues around that. You know.
Okay, thank you very much, Isiguzo. I will come back to you because there are other things I would love to, you know, find out from you. Now, Honorable Comrade Aminu Suleiman Goro, I called you that because of, you know, you've been an NLC a labor leader before you, of course, you became a House member. So, in your opinion, having listened to Mr. Isiguzo here, and of course, you've been, I know you've been following the trends of events as they happen. How do you perceive this national strike?
Well, first, what happened is, as far as an average Nigerian is concerned, is reprehensible on both sides of the divide, reprehensible on the part of government, and to a little lesser extent, also reprehensible on the part of the labor themselves. I say reprehensible because, first, there has been an issue between the Congress and Imo State government. Leadership of NLC went with a view to resolving the issue. And unfortunately, there was an escalation due to the wrong approach by security agents, which allegedly have the Congress president heavily and severely manhandled. And of course, his life was put at great risk. Now, you may not understand the position of the NLC president. The NLC president office is akin to, in a very humble and polite manner, workers view that office as the office of the commander-in-chief. And therefore, when there is an affront on the NLC president, it is not about the personality of the president himself. It is about the office of the president of the Nigerian workers. And even with that ugly incident, the NLC and TUC took time to follow procedure and protocols, summon a meeting of the highest organ of Congress of both central unions, and send a love letter to the government, informing government and giving government 7 days to address that brutality against the #1 labor worker in the country. Now, even with my bias for for President Tinubu, even with my bias for the federation and the party that is in control, because I'm a politician, I won't hide it. The part of the matter is that the labor handlers of the president needed to sit up. There has been attempted industrial action since the emergence of the president and justifiable reasons for that matter. And on each occasion, the handlers of industrial relations of the government wait until dying minutes and will quickly rush to the court to obtain injunction. You cannot perpetually deny the worker the right to disagree. And the only way a Nigerian worker will disagree is to seize his services. And therefore, for me, no matter the gravity of what had happened, if the handlers of industrial relations of Mr. President are smart and professional enough, we shouldn't have found ourselves in this quagmire where the economy of the country is now being shut down. We cannot imagine the colossal loss of income. And therefore, for me, I think rather than blaming the labor and the leadership of the NLC, the federal government should do an inside assessment and reposition people responsible for industrial relations so that we will move closer and closer to the working people of Nigeria to understand their sentiment, to understand their problem, with a view of bringing them closer so that the agenda of the new government will be fulfilled easily without much rancor, without much misunderstanding, as presently been seen and happening all over the country.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Tanimu, a restraining order was given by a National Industrial Court. And even with the restraining order, Labour went ahead to, have this nationwide strike. Tell us, what could be the implication of this?
Thank you very much. One thing that we should bear in mind all the time is that our courts are sacred. The orders made by the court are supposed to be obeyed. It might be an invalid order. It might be an order that is not appealing to a certain group of persons. You need to obey the order, but you have an opportunity as well to approach that same court. I think if you recall from our conversation during the ASU strike and the way they used the court, they took equally fashion away on the labor, I'm talking about labor now, on how to use the court proactively. What they do is that the government simply ran to the industrial court that, please, we are having a substantive matter, but before you determine the substantive matter, we have an application because of the urgency and the consequences of what a strike action would translate into. We want you to give a restraining order. And those kind of applications are usually done ex parte, whereby a single party will be heard without the other party being present in court. And if it's granted, no matter how frivolous, no matter how vexatious, no matter the grounds, as the affidavit that was deposed to before such an order was given, it is expected that the orders will be obeyed, because the court is the hope for the common man. But I will not want to subscribe to that line of argument in its entirety. The reason being that we, over time, Nigerians generally, we have resorted to resolve all our lingering issues. We want to heap it on the court. As I'm talking to you now, our judiciary is overburdened, they are overworked, and then the resources are being wasted. Issues that did not need the intervention of the court should not be taken to the court in the first instance. So I'm not happy that the government approach took that line of resolving issues. As Honorable Aminu rightly pointed out, the handlers of the industrial relation of the government needs to do more, both at the national and at the state level. More negotiation is better than always resorting to court actions.
All right, thank you very much, Tanimu. Let's take a break to feel the pulse of Nigerians on the nationwide strike. Don't go away.
The directors, they didn't come to office. I'm just coming from the Ministry of Health just now. I noticed that the place was scanty. So some people observed it, some did not.
I was supposed to have one appointment. I went to their head office. They were not there. I came here. They are not there. They said it's due to strike.
Government and labor should reach a truce because the impact of the strike on the economy will be bad.
Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are talking about the NLC nationwide strike, and my guests are still here with me, three gentlemen, by the way. Now, Chris, over to you. Of course, we've listened to Nigerians and how they complied to the strike. But then again, I'm tempted to ask, is Imo State, you talked about the issues that, you said it goes beyond
some of the issues.
Some of the issues. They say it goes beyond just, the molestation of the leader of the NLC president. Now,
and by extension, Nigerian workers.
Okay. Now, is Imo State the only state with these issues?
Well, over time, Labour had always come up with other issues that lead to industrial actions, and it will not be proper to, confuse the whole situation with an array of issues. And that's why the central labor bodies, in the instant case, the NLC and the NUC, decided to be focused. This is a particular issue at hand where, workers are practically being treated as if they are third-class citizens, by virtue of some of the issues that are lingering in the state. As we speak, we have the national minimum wage, because if you take time to look at the resolutions of that joint NEC meeting, the meeting took time to break the issues to a level that anybody looking at it would actually understand the issues at play. We have the fact that we have a national minimum wage, and from the point that has been raised in the meeting is not being complied with in the state. We have issue about misappropriation of union dues. You and I know that unions survive on members' contributions via dues. These things are not done. So many of these issues.
Sorry to cut you short, because you just mentioned some of the issues. You said the workers are being treated like a third-class citizens, right? Is it peculiar to Imo State alone?
Well, because, we may have other issues in other places, but presently, this particular action is centered at a particular point. The other issues, when their own time comes, we are going to take them up. But let's not begin to, confuse the issues. The central labor bodies gave a 1-week ultimatum. These issues, they are not about Ajero, like the Honorable said. They are not necessarily about me or you. But these are about workers in a particular state. He hasn't asked for anybody to give him money. He hasn't asked for anybody to build a house for him. But we are talking about workers in a particular location, that they are living like as though they are not the same like their contemporaries in other places. That issues concerning them should be addressed. And if these issues are not addressed within a specific time frame, that is good to take it to a national level, perhaps. Now that workers across the country have downed tools, that maybe the president will show interest, the federal government will come into it, other governors will come into it, because what is happening at a particular location is now having its impact, consequential effect on other states. So by the time these governors at the level of Nigerian Governors Forum come together, and maybe they say, no, Imo, why not do this? Perhaps this issue would be receiving some positive response from the government. I think that's the essence of this whole thing. Not necessarily to attack anybody or undermine the nation, no, but to attract the national appeal to issues about the welfare of workers in the Eastern Heartland. Okay,
thank you very much. Now, Honorable Aminu Suleiman Goro, now there have been allegations from some quarters that this is a mere abuse of power. Now, considering the timing of these events, it happened during the time of election. Some also have alleged that it's partisan in nature. The NLC leadership has been partisan in their actions. While the presidency has also said the strike is not, it doesn't really kind of protect national interests. Now, what is your take in, given all these allegations and, of course, what the presidency has said, what do you think about it?
I don't want to agree with this school of thought. First, let us recall that there has been a lingering industrial dispute in Imo State even before the emergence of Comrade Achoro. There were these incidences where the former president of NLC, Comrade Wamba, have to travel to Imo State on a number of occasions. But even let us come back to the accusation that the NLC president probably have sympathy for other political party other than our own, which is the ruling party. You need to understand the working of the NLC itself. The NLC is not like a federal government where the winner of an election appoints the cabinet. The NLC is a democratic organization whose leadership from the grassroots to the office of the president emerged through democratic processes. And as a member of the National Executive Council of the NLC for 10 years, let me share my experience on the workings of the NLC with greater respect to all the presidents that the NLC had in the past. I hasten to add that the most strongest president and radical of all in the hierarchy and history of NLC leadership is perhaps Comrade Adams Oshomole. I tell you, madam, that in all the strikes that we have to go during the leadership of Adams, Adams have never had it so easy as to say because he's NLC president, he can just come and direct strike. Decisions taken at NLC levels are usually decisions that emanate from different collections of mind. And I tell you, in the NLC, because it's a trade union organization, there are various political opinions. Not everybody in the NLC will want to say he will key in. Let's say it is even true that the president has sympathy elsewhere. He does not have constitutional or even individual influence to direct how the Congress will act politically. And the Congress is apolitical. So I don't agree with the people.
Thank you very much, comrade. Just in 30 seconds, I'll start with you, Siguzo. What is the way forward? How can this strike end?
Well, I think the central labor bodies are very clear that there has to be a very serious political commitment to addressing this array of issues affecting workers in Imo. If that had done within the 1 week ultimatum, I don't think we will be where we are. Okay. Maybe this is a time for the political leaders to come together and address these issues, and we make progress as a people.
Thank you very much. That's it on Nigeria Today. We want to thank our guests for sharing their thoughts with us. We want to thank the NUJ President, Chris Isiguzo. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. And also a public affairs analyst and a legal practitioner, Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu. Thank you so much for your time. And also a very big thank you to Honorable Comrade Aminu Suleiman Goro, who was a former Labour leader and also a NEC member from 2009 to 2010. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being part of the program. I am Eukaria Clinton.